Assalamu alaikum student. Today we will teach you about the bacterial growth. First of all, we are going to start the growth cycle. We know that the bacteria is a living microorganism. They can divide itself and produce the new bacterial cell. So when the bacteria is divided by a process, and this process is known as binary fission. And binary fission is the process by which one parent cell is divided to form two cells, and each then divide to form further two cells. That's why it is called exponential or logarithm growth. When the parent cell is divided, when one cell is divided into two, and then further is divided into cell, so this is called the exponential. The number of bacteria will be increase with the time, and the doubling time range is from 18 minutes to 18 hours. So now we are going to discuss the phase of bacterial growth cycle. We know that there are four phases mainly which are involved in the growth cycle of bacteria. When a small number of bacteria is inoculated into a liquid nutrient medium and counted continuously, this graph can be represented as the following. So this is the graph mainly. This is the time, and this is the bacteria growth, and this is the time. So they contain this growth cycle of bacteria contain four phases. The first one is lag phase. The second one is log phase. The third one is stationary phase, and the fourth one is death phase. So these are four phases which are involved in the growth cycle of bacteria. The first one is called lag phase. So in this phase there is no division of cell. This is the adaptation phase, because when the bacteria is enter into a medium, first they adjust with the environment. Some bacteria are died and some bacteria are adopted with this environment. So the metabolic activity will be high in this phase, and there is no division or no cell count remain the same. The second phase is log phase. In log phase is the active phase of this phase. In this phase the rapid cell division occur and the cell count increase. In this phase the cell count will be increased and the cell will be divided rapidly to form other cells. Therefore this is the most important phase, because there is a rapid division of cell occur. The third phase is stationary phase. The number of cell produce balanced number of cell die because nutrient depletion or toxic product. So due to the depletion or toxic product, so the number of cell will be stationary, and the number of cell produce balanced number of cell. So there is no increasing or no decreasing of cell. This is the balance phase of this phase. The fourth phase is death phase. And this phase there is only decrease in number of bacteria due to some toxic product or due to the more deficiency of nutrient. The bacteria cannot live further and they can be die. Now we are going to discuss the bacterial classification on the base of oxygen requirement. There are 6 bacteria are classified on the base of oxygen requirement. The first one is obligate aerobes, and the second bacteria as facultative anaerobe. The third one is obligate anaerobe. The fourth one is microaerophilic, and the fifth one is aerotolerant organism, and the sixth one is capnophilic or carboxyphilic. So these are 6 uh, bacteria which are classified in the base of oxygen requirement. The first one is obligate aerobes. Oxygen enhanced metabolism growth in act as a hydrogen acceptor in the final step of energy production, which is catalyzed by PLEU, protein and cytochromes. So this bacteria will require high concentration of oxygen to enhance the process of metabolism. When there is more process of metabolism, there will be more ATP will produce, and the growth will be occur more in this bacteria. So two toxic molecule, one is hydrogen peroxide and the other is radical superoxide. These are produced, the bacteria require two enzymes to degrade this toxic metabolite. The first one in enzyme is superoxide dimutase, and the second one is catalase enzyme. These two enzymes are required to degrade the toxic metabolite. And a response to the oxygen is important criteria to classify the bacteria and the great practical significance for inoculation. The bacteria need oxygen because their ATP generating system is depend on oxygen. There are some examples of obligate aerobes. The first one is Mycobacterium tuberculosis, and the second one is Nocardia asteroides. The second bacteria is facultative anaerobes. If the oxygen present, it utilize. If not sufficient oxygen, they use fermentation pathway to synthesize ATP. So this bacteria facultative anaerobe, it means that it is independent of oxygen. When the oxygen is present, this bacteria is utilize this oxygen to produce the ATP. While if there is no sufficient of oxygen, then this bacteria is use the other pathway for the ATP synthesis. And the example of this facultative anaerobe is Staphylococcus and Enterobacteriaceae. The third bacteria is obligate anaerobes, and these can grow in the presence of oxygen because these cannot grow obligative anaerobes. These bacteria cannot grow in the presence of oxygen because they lack superoxide dismutase and catalase or both enzyme. The example of obligate anaerobes is actinomycete, Bacteroid and Clostridium. The fourth one is microaerophilic bacteria, the bacteria which required oxygen for survival but in lower concentration than atmosphere. So there are 20% of oxygen is present in the atmosphere, and this bacteria is need a low concentration of oxygen which are lower than the atmosphere. So this bacteria can grow then rapidly. Uh, and the example of this bacteria is Campylobacter, and they can grow in 5% of oxygen instead of normal 20% of oxygen and atmosphere. Aerotolerant organism, they do not require oxygen because they are anaerobe, but can grow in air. They are not poisoned by oxygen. The example is Clostridium histolyticum. And the sixth one is Cypnophilic. It is also called carboxyphilic. The bacteria that required high carbon dioxide concentration for growth, and usually microaerophilic or cypnophilic. Example is Campylobacter, Haemophilus influenza, and Neisseria gonorrhea. These are the example of cypnophilic bacteria. So these are about the bacterial growth and bacterial classification on the basis of oxygen requirement. See you next time. Khuda Hafiz.